Hello and welcome to the Child Care Business Coach podcast. My name is Evelyn Knight. Today I have a special guest with me that I asked to come on the podcast, a little bit different than most of the guests I've had in the past. I have Carmen Munoz with me from Panama. And Carmen is actually one of my clients, and I've started working with her pretty recently. When she told me her story, I had to have her on the podcast. It is really a cool situation that Carmen's in. I mean, it started out with some negative scenarios and situations that her child care center that she owns is going through, but it has transformed into something that I think is really, really cool. And I hope that those of you out there can get on board with what Carmen's doing. It's interesting because we are seeing a movement that's just at the grassroots, just beginning to start. But I think there's some real momentum that can happen here as Carmen and the people that she has teamed up with really start getting going on this journey. So Carmen, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about, your childcare center and what is going on in Panama.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Carmen, and I'm from Panama. And we have a family-owned preschool. This year, we turned 30 years. And since we had the pandemic, we had a 30-year virtual celebration with the kids. And this year has been, very tough. I know that for everybody, but we've had like a very, very different scenario here in our country than the rest of the scenarios in the world. We have been in lockdown since March, and just I think it was like a month ago that they opened up the lockdown. We could only go out 3 times a week and for only 2 hours at a time. Like, men could go out on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, and the women on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Sundays has been locked down, and they just started opening up businesses. And preschools and schools have been closed since March. Our yearly calendar begins in March and it ends in January, so we've had to recreate our whole system this year virtually because the government hasn't allowed us to open yet. So for us in the preschool area, it has been even harder because the kids are so little and we need support from the parents even more than the bigger kids. So we've really had to come up with out of the box solutions to try to maintain them on our system and our program, and try to actually make them grow and develop and be able to continue with our program and be able to succeed and next year pass on to, we always call it like the big school, to which is kindergarten. So it's been really hard. And the most interesting part of all this, like Evelyn was saying, it started out so negative. Each preschool here is like an island. Everybody works separately. Nobody talks to each other. And this situation has made us come together and try to work together so that we can make this, make everything, a little bit more formal, or make it just try to see how we can get out of this complete mess that we have right now. So there has been no association of preschools or anything that has to do with early childhood education in Panama. So some of the preschools in the area have come together, and we are trying to make an association and start working together and letting everybody know what is the importance of early childhood education, because sadly, the pandemic has showed us the lack of importance that is given to the smaller kids. And I know that everybody's having a hard time, and education of the bigger children is taken more seriously because it's more formal, because it's mandatory, but they have been leaving all the kids, the smaller kids behind. So the first thing that everybody did was like, okay, well, we're going to take them out of the preschool program. And instead of trying to maintain a normal routine at home, the kids have been doing anything but watching TV. They've been using their tablets, and everything that we recommend not doing, they've been doing it right now. So we've been trying to create this movement and trying to work with the authorities to help us tell them the importance of having an early childhood development, an appropriate early childhood development.
Right. And I think what's important to note there is, if most of my audience is in the United States and Canada, and we are so used to having, it's like just natural for us to have like the NAEYC, we have 0 to 3, we have Child Care Aware, and so many different advocacy organizations. That ECE has a huge advocacy following as it is. So we have a lot in place that we don't even realize especially in the United States, we have so much protection for ECE already that we don't even realize is there, because it's so second nature to us. Like when the pandemic happened, there was a lot of grants available, and there was a lot of help for us. And I know the first time you and I spoke, you were telling me how in Panama, there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you guys were basically shut down completely with no kind of help, no kind of hope or help in sight at all. So I think that's really important for people to understand, is to a certain extent how blessed we are here, where we have so much that we don't even know we have it, right? There's so many people advocating for us. There's associations and, just people out there. And there's still the laws and different things in place also that help us in not only just seeing us as a profession, but also just keeping the business part of us alive, right? Not just the preschool part, but the business part of us alive. So talk a little bit about how Panama's structure is, or even lack of structure, right, for ECE, and how that has affected your business. And talk about it before. I know you found a way to fill the gap, but before that, like when you and I first talked, how what you were facing in the beginning.
Well, here it's very confusing because people, they don't recognize sometimes that we exist. Mm-hmm. Everybody talks about the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Education really is the government entity that has the K-12 schools. So the schools that are early childhood, which is until 3 to 4 years old, we are part of a different authority, which is called the social ministry. So inside this social ministry, they have all of the social programs, the ones that have to do with the elderly, with the people that are poor. And so we're just like a tiny, tiny little part of that ministry. And since the Ministry of Education is the one that has to do everything with education, sometimes what we do is that we follow what they say, but they're really not a regent. So when this all happened, that's when everybody started to wonder like what we were going to do, because the Ministry of Education was not taking us into consideration because we're not part of them. But then the social ministry was so busy doing their part in the social area, like giving out food bags and seeing how they would give out, because so many people got suspended in the country that they were giving out like a certain amount of money to everybody. So they were doing all that and everybody forgot about us. They even forgot that they had to close us. So when they
wow.
So when the first news came out that schools had to close, they did not say that the daycares or the early childhood education centers and preschools had to close. So some of the daycares didn't even close because they said they're not asking us to close, so we're not closing. Mm-hmm. And then it was like on the second day, the news, you could actually see them from behind, like, what about the preschools? And then they're like, oh yes, the preschools have to close too. Like sadly, the authorities sometimes don't even remember that we exist. So we've been trying to set up this communication with them and talking to them and gather all the information, because sometimes I think they don't know that we exist because the regulations are not in place. So there are regulations for you to open up a preschool and daycare center, but not everybody follows them.
Oh.
So the lack of information, I think, has been something that has been even harder for the government to know about us. And we're trying to do that. We're calling all of the provinces, and we are trying to make a list of how many private centers there are, because they have their own public centers. So we're trying to see how many private centers there are, and trying to talk to them and see how we can help out and how we can get this data, because there is no data. Like, if you ask anybody, you ask us, you ask the government how many preschools we have in Panama, and nobody can tell you a number.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting to say the least. So let's talk a little bit about the movement that you guys are starting and what you've done. I know that, like you were saying, there are no associations. So you and a group of other owners and directors, I assume, basically decided, okay, well, let's start our own. So tell us about how that started and what it looks like.
So when all of this happened, we created a WhatsApp group of the owners and directors, and everybody just started sharing ideas. And it was very, very nice, because at the beginning, we only thought this was going to be for like a month. So everybody decided that we were going to share free information, and we were going to share activities with the parents, and everybody made a daily video, and we would post it on all of our Instagrams and Facebooks and send it to the parents. And then after that month that we were still closed, we decided that we had to do something that was more formal, not just a group. So we started having meetings and seeing who was interested in working, and just trying to see how we could come up with a group. And we started writing our mission, our vision, what you need to do to join, and how many times we're going to have a meeting. And we started doing everything from scratch. And we created these different types of members that you can become, because what we would like is to be similar, like to NAEYC. So right now we're starting with owners and directors, but the idea would be for anybody that is involved in or that is interested in learning about early childhood education can join. So right now it's just owners and directors, but hopefully we will get more members later on, because right now some people are so worried that they don't even know what they're going to do. They don't even know if they're going to be open next year. We're almost at the end of our school year. So whoever is working right now is going to finish. We finish in December, but they don't really know if they're going to continue next year. Because the sad news is that they haven't even told us if we are going to be able to open next year either.
Right.
Not in schools. Like schools, they said it might be still virtual, but they haven't said anything about the preschools. So.
Right. So the childcare portion is pretty much gone at this point. All you guys can do is the virtual.
Exactly. That's all we can do. And that's why we wanted to make this campaign. So we talked to the authorities, to our region, which is the ministry, the social ministry. And we told them, we want to do this campaign so that the parents can know how important it is to have their kids enrolled in a program that is reliable, because there is so much information out there. And sadly, the situation has become so desperate right now that people have to go back to work, but they don't have where to take the kids. So now we have all of these people announcing that they're taking care of the kids, or you have parents that are getting together in houses and then hiring teachers that are spent at the moment. And so the whole idea of having us close is so that the virus stops spreading. But people are on the streets, and they are going from house to house, and parents are gathering, and they are taking kids everywhere. Kids are going to the supermarket, they're going to the beach each weekend, they're going everywhere. So right now we talked last week, but right now we're trying to shift our campaign and just trying to see if they let us open.
Right.
because it would be safer if they let us open, because we would follow all of the protocols that they tell us. And how they're doing it right now, you have no guarantee that they are going to follow any.
Absolutely right. No, and you're absolutely right. If they allowed you to open with protocol, then it would actually, in the long run, maybe help improve, because at least you guys know that you are following procedures to keep the kids safe, and those sanitation procedures are so important. Whereas if people are just gathering in homes, and you're not having that guarantee. So and I absolutely love too that you guys saw the gap, and instead of just letting it consume you, you came together, united, and really just started to create this new system, which is how change happens, right? You guys really just create this new system in order to create change within Panama, which I know you guys will be successful in the long run. And hopefully somebody out there listening, maybe from the NEYC, can get a hold of you and just really come alongside you guys and help. But I think it's amazing. And in the beginning, you said that all of you were pretty isolated and like an island. And now you guys have each other and you're really working together. So tell me, how has that helped you, not just in coming up with ideas and just improving what you're doing, but how has that helped you like with your mental health? And I'm sure that's just been huge for you guys to come together and help, lift each other up. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, it has been awesome. I personally feel, and I know that the rest of the members of our group right now feel the same way. It's like we have new friends, friends that understand, and not only understand, but they can give you advice that will actually work. So
right.
We have meetings each week, and most of the meetings, at first we just talk about, and everybody just like gets out what's going on. Like, okay, this happened at school. A mom called saying this. The parents are saying this. The kids we are able to talk to each other and share and we started giving tips, because some of us started doing the virtual learning earlier, and some of them started after that. So we just told everybody, like, whatever you need, the ones that had started before, we can help you start to set up, and this is what we're doing. And so it has been awesome. Like I've been in, it's been hard, but at the same time, it's like a ray of light. Like, oh my God, if this had not happened, we would have never come together and worked together and we'll just be friends and be able to share all this insight there. At first, maybe, or some people that haven't joined, maybe they think like we're competition, because at the end we're businesses and we're doing the same thing, but there are so many kids that need us. That is why there are so many preschools here. That at the end, everybody has their own, there's enough kids for everybody.
Absolutely. And you're stronger together. When you guys are pulling your resources together, that just makes you stronger and better. So I totally agree with you. When you can get over that competition mindset and really focus on, okay, now how can we lift each other up and work together? All of you guys are going to benefit from it, because not only is it going to help all of you survive, but it's also going to up your quality. Yeah. And when things get back to normal, and you keep this going, and you'll still be able to have that united front and lift each other up instead of tearing each other down.
Exactly. Yeah. Because at the end, like our mission right now is a little bit different, but in general, what we want is just to start getting everybody knowing about the importance of early childhood education, because it's become a trend here in Panama for the last couple of years. Of course, some people need daycare, so they send them to daycare, but other people just send them to preschools because their neighbor is sending their kids to preschool, or because their friends are sending them to preschool. And then when they come to enroll, they ask us, like, why are people sending kids to preschool now? When I was little, I never went to preschool. Right. So we have to like start every year in our center, what we do is that instead of just talking about our method and our policies and procedures, what we do is that we start with like an intro of why it's important, and saying thanks to the parents, like, you guys are amazing for being here and enrolling your child, and thank you for making this important, because it is. So
It is, right.
So we just start telling them so that they understand a little bit more, because some of them just send them to the schools because they want to socialize with the kids, or and it's not just, of course it is. Of course you socialize. Of course you make friends, and of course you learn that way. But it's not just about socializing. There's so much more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just the brain development that's happening in those first 5 years of life is huge. And the social aspect is the most important. But when you put them in that formal setting, you guys can facilitate the learning that's happening during that play and socialization with, from an educated standpoint, which does make their growth and development better and more effective. So, and I think also with what you're doing by forming this organization, that's something you guys can really work on too, is educating, preschools as a whole on what does developmentally appropriate ECE look like, what are qualities. So when COVID is, 5 years down the road, you guys can have this strong organization that's really increasing the quality in Panama, which is just amazing that you are at the forefront of this movement and change. And I just think, it's inspiring that instead of just letting it take you guys down, that you've just united and created this new thing completely.
Yeah, we're trying, because at the end, we're all passionate about this. And yes, it is a business, but it's much more than that.
Yes.
Here, you get to be with those children. You get to see them grow. You get to meet the parents. You get to have this connection with the families that you don't get to do with any other types of business. And I don't even think you have those connections with the parents or children, even in K-12 schools. Because they're so little, and you just get attached to them like much more. The bigger the children, the more independent they are, and here it's just, to us, we always say it's like we're a family, and so it's just much more than that.
Absolutely.
So of course we want to help, and
you guys are building that foundation. You are absolutely, you are building the foundation that's going to help them get through the K through 12. So that it's so very important.
Exactly. And we would love to help out the public centers too, so that they have also a better quality, and we can help them with their teachers and resources and anything that we could do. So we would love to do that in the future also, which is part of our long-term plan. So hopefully we will be able to do that too, because we would strive so that it becomes really important for the whole country, because statistics here in Panama, there is a lot of poverty in the country, and about 40% of the students drop out of school.
Wow.
Now that is it's a burden on the country, and we've been reading about everything, and there are analyses that say, the workforce is not going to grow. It's just going to become smaller, and then the country is going to have to start trying to see what they do with these people. They're not going to produce. They're not going to make the country advance. And at the end, what we want Panama to be a great country. We want it to develop, to progress, and
right.
And to us, that this is one of the ways of doing it, is making sure that every child has a great background in preschool, which will help them not drop out, because the idea is that when they're so small, they're so happy and engaged, and you teach them that learning is fun and how to be creative, they're not going to drop out of school. So it's a big goal that we have, but we would really love to do that. And well, actually, A couple of weeks ago, they passed a law. I think the president was signing it this week, where they're trying to get all the government entities to work together so that they can ensure the basic rights to all of the children. So in that law,
That is awesome.
they're going to ensure that they have an identity, because sadly some people don't even have an identity. Like they don't go and register them so that they have their ID, like there's like a social security number. We have areas that have lots of Indians, and they're called comarcas. It's like special areas, and education does not, I think, well, it's very hard to get there. They have their own language, and well, there are so many social issues. So they're trying to ensure that they have their basic rights. So one of these rights, of course, is education. So
right. So basically right now you have the population that is underserved or not being served, which hopefully the movement that you guys are creating can actually start addressing that also. There's so much you guys can do. It's amazing. It's inspirational.
Thank you.
So do you guys have you guys named yourselves yet at this point?
Yeah, it's called ACEPI, which in Spanish is Asociación de Centros de la Primera Infancia. And our logo is like a little bean that has a sprout. So the kid is the bean, and that is sprouting into this plant. So we are the ones that are watering them so that they can grow strong and healthy.
That is awesome. When I first talked to you months ago, you guys didn't have anything, and now you have a logo and you're formalized, and you were talking about reaching out to other provinces. So you are looking at the country of Panama, not just your local area. So how can the people of Panama, or even if just people around the world want to help and just really inspire, how can they find you?
We have a website. We don't have much information yet, like on our plans. It's just we have like our mission, our vision, and it's ACEPIPanama.com. And on our Instagram, it's the same, at ACEPI Panama. So we're starting to post like tips and information, and hopefully when we have our campaign like a little bit more figured out, then we're going to start posting and giving everybody more information. Right now, we're really debating on what we're going to ask the government to do, because we think it's most important right now to focus on trying to open and convince them to let us open next year.
Absolutely.
It's really getting out of control. So
yeah,
between the campaign of the importance and asking them to open, so we're trying to figure out.
Right. Yes. I'm sure the industry is just being decimated in Panama right now. So, there's probably a lot of centers that are still an island and they're not connected. So they're probably just really suffering. So I agree. It's really crippling for an industry.
Yeah, it is. And still the lack of trust, because even since we've united and we are working together, some people are still not sure if they want to be part of a group like this.
Right.
And as I said, since not everybody follows the regulations, they're also afraid of joining certain groups like this, because they think that the government is going to come and shut them down or something like that.
Right.
So there are lots of things that are not helping us grow right now, but we're happy with the quantity that we have right now, and hopefully we will grow more when we start making more things and they see that they can actually trust what we're doing, that we're not here just to learn or snoop on what everybody's doing. It's just to work together and to be able to grow together.
Right. That is amazing. So if somebody wanted to contact you, they can just go through your website or Instagram page that works for you?
Exactly.
Well, great. So thank you so much, Carmen. Is there anything you want to add to close us out?
Um, well, I would just say that pray for us.
Yes, absolutely.
Just pray for us. The countries, the rest of the countries in Latin America, they have different policies that they have in the U.S., and none of them have opened their preschools or their daycare centers. So, and the government here is not sure of opening it because the rest of the countries in the region haven't done it either. So I don't think we're going to be the first. So just I don't know, just pray for us that everything goes well, and that we will be able to give out our message. So even if we're not able to open, that people can see the importance, and and just try to work with the children, because at the end they're the ones that are having the hardest time right now. Not having their routine, their schedule, and being forgotten a little bit.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And I would also add for people to share this information, help, even just, if we can get this awareness out, that awareness is usually step one. So share the podcast episode. I'm going to post this to Facebook and Instagram also. So just share so that help Carmen and her organization get the word out on what they're doing, that the help they need, and just because you really have the opportunity to shape a country's ECE program and really make it better. So just, you guys are doing something absolutely inspirational. And thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate having you.
No, thank you for inviting me.